Good morning, everybody. I feel for the most part, it's been a haggard month for my old voice. It's been a haggard month. I still don't think I'm 100%.
You're not.
I think there's a layer of suspected COVID in there right now.
Phlegm.
The coughing, don't make me laugh, or I will.
Yeah, that cough that we heard, buddy. Yeah.
The cough.
You're
you didn't watch Seinfeld, right? You stupid idiot.
The laugh turned cough.
No, when Kramer is coughing like a dog, so he takes dog medicine. Oh, whatever.
It sounds great though.
Wow.
Unmute. Paul and McGrant Bills, ladies and gentlemen. For transparency, this is being taped on Tuesday morning.
That's the one.
I am not sure as of recording when I will publish this into the world. I thought because someone was telling me at the tailgate, they're like, you should do a Patreon. I think it was Al. He says you should do and I never want to charge anyone for anything. Like you pay me by sitting through my YouTube ads. Okay. You pay me by, oh, that Survivor contest sounds fun. splashsports.com/Winkler. Let's play. These are the ways that you can support the show. I don't want to directly
get a golf simulator.
Yes, get a golf simulator, carl of et.com/Bart. I would rather the money be laundered through some service that you're providing rather than just give me money. Now, I think I'm gonna buy a blue check.
That's how you monetize, right?
Well, I don't know. I still think it's a whole scam.
Why?
I gotta ask some of these blue check guys. I gotta ask Pete and Herman and Nags. Are you guys getting money?
I mean,
coming your way.
Okay. Yeah. I mean, it would be a huge problem, legal problem, if they weren't.
Well, now it's to the point where when I see those guys with a blue check, I don't think anything of it. But if I go all this time saying, fuck blue check marks, it'd be like if I did the last 4 years of my life, and then I go on Twitter, happy to announce I am now the new executive producer of the Steve Zabin Show. It'd be like, what the fuck?
Oh, I see what you mean. Yeah. Yes.
New information. You can change your opinions. You can change your perspectives. It's okay. It's okay to do that.
You can change jobs even. You can. It can happen. Totally can.
Speaking of jobs, an update to my CBS Sports Radio schedule. Friday, I will be solo in for Maggie and Perloff.
Have you ever done that one before?
No.
What are they? 2
to 5 Central.
Are you in for Maggie and Perloff?
I think I am.
Just for Maggie.
Well, I'm in for both.
Sunday
afternoon. Monday morning, the DA show.
The 5 a.m. one? Or the...
yes.
Yeah, 5 a.m.
Look, that would ruin my entire week if I had to do that. Because all of the days leading up to it, I would just think about how early I have to get up. And it would be in the back of my mind for days leading into the shift. I couldn't. You're stronger than me. I couldn't do it.
On Labor Day, too, right?
Well, I mean, my Labor Day weekend shot.
Okay.
I kind of look at last weekend as my Labor Day weekend.
Yeah.
And then I think I'm going to do some Saturdays.
Really?
Yeah.
Sweet. Like the Bart Winkler Show
during college football. So it's gonna be hard because I'm gonna be watching games and talking about them. And as I said on Monday's show, I'm really bad at that. I'm bad at not if Michigan takes a 7 lead over Rutgers, I want to instantly talk about what that lead means, where they are in the playoffs, how they scored.
Why is that bad?
I can't because I don't know. I feel like I should be talking about James Harden or some shit, something different.
No, I mean, if you can react to it live, react to it live. Well, no, Grant, what do you think?
I like the live updates. If I'm driving around on a college football Saturday, I want you to take me places. So
I only have, well, I might have 2 screens. Man, maybe I can do 3. I'm not in the old studio, so I might.
Yeah.
I have to like fuck around and bring a Toshiba computer.
Toshiba.
And set up. And then, but there are some Saturdays where I would be required to end my show at 4, but try to be to the Steve by 5:30. And that's going to be tough.
That's very tough. That's probably not even doable.
I have to be there. My first read's at 6:06. So I think I'll have enough time.
That's doable.
How many games left on the Madison FC schedule?
5. 3 are Saturdays. So, all right. So that's an update on me. Enough about you guys.
Nice.
How's everybody else? How was your night with Big Ron and Badger Bloodies?
Big Ron is a hoot. I just met Badger Bloodies last week at the tailgate, but Big Ron, he's just one of the more fascinating humans that I've had the pleasure of talking
Badger
to.
Bloodies, I feel like that guy is a big personality. Like, he's a very interesting guy. But then Big Ron comes and it's like, oh, shit.
Big Ron was telling me of his time working in Manhattan over the years. I met his wife. I met his son. Big Ron was a hoot. He was hilarious. Yeah, he lives up to the name Big Ron. He is large in stature. He's 6'6", and his personality is big as well. I learned about his cat, that if he ever calls on a StreamYard or calls a radio show, you'll hear the cat in the background just yelling because it yells all the time. So that was nice to put a face to a name with the cat. I didn't meet the cat, but yeah, it was a good time. And he knew the spots. Big Ron knows the spots. He knows. He's like, what do you want to drink? I said, what are you having? He said, double Crown cola with lemon. I said, I will have that. I'll have what you're having, Big Ron. So it was a great time.
Wow. Look at that. Did Bloody get a Bloody?
Mm-hmm.
I hope he like really likes Bloodies that much, and it's not just like a personality point he committed to and now he's stuck with.
He's a bloody guy. He is the bloody guy. My Bloodies are good, but
not after 11 a.m.
It depends. But yeah, I'm more you can get a bloody at any time. I'm an anytime drink guy, but yeah.
You know what you can get at any time, but only for a limited time with the promo code is 30% off happyplacehemp.com through Labor Day. And when you put Bort as the code, you can still type in Bart. If you're just like, nah, I'll just take 25%. Type in Bart. That's fine. But if you type in Bort, you'll get 30% off. And immediately upon your checkout, a new item will appear. It's magic. And it's free. And it's the sampler pack of the now 50 milligram Delta 8s. Just pops up. So there you go. So you get a little sampler pack. Happyplacehemp.com. All right. We've accomplished nothing. We'll accomplish more next. The Bart Winkler Show. Hey, guys. Paul, what do you got for us?
Should we start Packers because it's almost time? Brewers because of the winning streak? Or Bucks because Giannis is in the New York Times?
Oh, it's
where do your brains have the?
I was just railing on Twitter that people talk too much Packers around here, which is fine. It's king, but you have to give service to the Brewers and Bucks. So let's start Packers.
I was wondering if that was the setup.
It was. You both knew. You both knew. Everyone listening knew. I got my B mug again on the Dan Schani YouTube stream.
We don't have to spend a ton of time on this unless it becomes a good conversation, of course. We can always keep going because I want to emphasize we are going to do a non-Jordan Love Packers topic as well. But I was intrigued by something that Ryan Wood, I think it was Ryan Wood, said with you, Bart, last week on the podcast. The Woodowski.
Woody.
Morning Wood.
Should have been his Twitter handle, his X handle.
Thank you.
And then we saw Jordan Love, since Ryan Wood talked to you in Saturday's final preseason game. While we still figure out like how good Jordan Love will be, we know for a fact Jordan Love will not be bad. It's an undisputable fact. Wherever the floor is for Jordan Love, the floor is above bad. He will not be bad. It's a fact. We've seen enough to know his floor is higher than that.
So
Mm-mm.
There's been a lot of reaction, and like, you know, the real leader of our Packer fandom, the kid on McAfee, is very excited about Jordan Love, and now like whoever, Cowherd or Dan Patrick, they're like, hey, look at this guy. But they're acting like everyone thought he was going to be basically a 7-year-old kid who was like, here's a football, do something with it. Like the level that we just, and it's fascinating because the Packers had 30 great years of quarterback. I don't know, because we haven't seen much of this guy. You just expect this guy who's been sitting behind Aaron Rodgers is going to get out there and throw footballs with his helmet behind his head. Like, what do you think he's going to look like? And so when he just like rolls out and throws a pass to a guy who's wide open from the play design, that's a 6-yard pass that any quarterback in this league should make, everyone's going, oh my God, they might have done it again. Like, save that for the back shoulder touchdown, you know, save that for some of the other plays that we've seen. And look, I think that a good play is there was the bomb to Watson against Seattle. And I think Watson had his hands on it. He should have dropped, or he should have caught it. Was it a touch underthrown? Sure.
Yeah.
But he also should have caught it.
Yep.
Both things can be true.
Yes, correct.
I try really hard never to say that again. I just like, yes, but people are gonna, now I said that nobody could, the league's not ready for him to be good, but now like the whole scale is going to be, he could throw the greatest Patrick Mahomes-esque throw you've ever seen, or he could just complete a, you know, little one for 10 yards. And people now, any time that he does anything good, it's going to be like, you know, oh my God, because everyone just, yes, he will not be bad. He can't. He will not be bad. He will not be bad.
And we didn't know that. Like, Grant, I want you to answer, obviously, but like, we didn't know that 6 months ago. Like, Jordan Love being bad 6 months ago was on the table, I think.
Yeah.
It's since been removed from the table as an option, as an outcome. Grant?
Yeah. Mm-hmm. It's definitely been removed from the table. I don't know how good he's going to be.
Right.
In a small sample size in the preseason, as Bart said, we've shown that he can read an offense and go through his reads. And I think he's going to have the advantage that Rodgers didn't last year, that he's very similar in age and I think in vibe to a lot of his weapons. I was listening to Steven Ruiz, who does the Ringer Fantasy Football Show. He was in Green Bay and he got to talk with Love and a lot of these guys. And he was talking about how like all his teammates, they love Jordan Love. Like they are on his side. They're jacked to see him get his chance. Even the wide receivers and the running backs, they're like, we can't wait to block for this guy.
You fucking moron.
I know. But I was listening to that podcast the other day. I'm like, I like this. So I think Jordan Love will be a fine quarterback. But he has some advantages this year that maybe a 39-year-old Aaron Rodgers didn't have relative to the rest of his roster, which I think is going to be a big help to him as well. I 100% agree. And I think, Paul, that you started in a good place. I don't think he can be bad. I think at the very worst, he's Mac Jones-ish. And I don't know if years down the road, if that's enough. I think it's probably not. But the idea that he's going to come out and look like a catastrophe and the Packers are going to have egg on their face, I think that outcome, like you said, is off the table.
Well, the only thing I'd say, like, you know, if you Mac Jones also still on a rookie contract, the only benefit is I think okay, let's use Daniel Jones as an example. If Daniel Jones is your quarterback, you can win. If Daniel Jones isn't making $45 million per year.
Sure.
Which Daniel Jones is now. So if I was like talking about the Giants, I would say like, I think we can win with Daniel Jones. The problem is the Daniel Jones contract, because he's not good enough to take up that percent of the cap. Whereas like if Jordan Love, like his extension for the 2024 season was what, like 24 million, something like that. Like, of course, if he's good or he's even like above average, he'll eventually be making Daniel Jones money. So it's more about like how you can, is he worth the percent of cap he'll eventually take up? Like, you know what I mean? The other thing you said, Grant, that I was intrigued by is like his ability to relate to his teammates. Did you guys see that Matt Stafford quote the other day?
Yeah, real?
It was from his wife, wasn't it?
So what's the you tell me the backstory? It sounds like you guys have read into this more than
I just saw on the Herdline news ticker yesterday, because
I read
the studio. It was like Matt Stafford's wife says he's having trouble connecting with younger teammates
because they're always on their phones.
It's a real story.
Can't believe that.
You asshole.
You imagine?
If you're listening just on the audio, Grant picked up his phone.
Good stuff.
But that was real. I saw that and then I didn't look into it again.
I didn't either because I thought it was like a butt crack sports.
No, I think well here let's do our Google race. I'm actually going to ask Jeeves while you guys Google.
What's that?
Grant, what kind of mug is that?
It's an Arizona kind of. There's some cactuses on there. It's my cone roller mug, my American Southwest. I'm like D'Angelo Vickers. I just love the region.
D'Angelo Vickers.
My grandma gave it to me. She lives in Arizona.
I went to Mexico once, and they didn't have their they don't have prices, and the whole experience is to negotiate. And that's like put me in a more uncomfortable situation. Tell me the price. And I ended up paying $40 for like a mug. And then instead of like when I brought it home, instead of being like, all right, this mug I paid for, so I must cherish. I was so pissed of the reminder that I smashed it. Good story. Paul, did you find anything?
Yeah, there's a podcast called The Morning After with Kelly Stafford. This is real. This is Mourn. Nope, just the morning. She not the.
It's not in morning.
Not in morning.
What episode does she do a deep dive that she is Cooper Kupp with a wig?
Do they look similar?
They look the exact same.
Huh.
I found the quote here. This is interesting. I didn't see the full quote.
Yeah. So you want to read it, Grant? I can read it. Whoever.
No. You.
Kelly Stafford says on her podcast, so Matthew's been in the league a long time. He's like, the difference in the locker room has changed so significantly. They have a lot of rookies on their team. They're very young. But he's like, I feel I can't connect. In the old days, you'd come out of practice, you'd shower, and people would be playing cards, interacting. But now they get out of practice and meetings during training camp, and they go straight to their phones. Yeah. So, I mean, there is something to be said, I'm sure, where like our friend Aaron Rodgers with the Jets, it's like, Sauce Gardner.
How old is he? He's younger than me.
35, probably. I mean, how old is Matt Stafford?
Like, he's not going back. Like, come on.
Ask Jeeves.
He's 30. He's 35.
He is totally of the same age where you go right to your phone. He's trying, like,
he's playing the kids these days card a bit too young.
I think kinda.
Yeah.
I mean, there's just also been so much turnover with the Rams. It's not like with the Packers, when they drafted 2 young wide receivers, the whole country knew about it. It was a story. Like, the Packers have rookie wide receiver. You'd mention it whenever you talk about the upcoming season. Well, the Packers, they got 2 rookie wide receivers because the Packers so rarely had turnover. Like, they weren't rebuilding their whole roster from year to year. The Rams have like shed their entire skin over the last 2 years. They've traded away guys and so they're so young. I feel like they're a little bit of an outlier. It's not like he's got 2 or 3 rookies he's trying to connect with, it probably feels like the entire team has changed 2 or 3 times since he's got there. So I'll push back. I'll defend Matt Stafford a little bit, but also I don't know that I need my wife putting that story out everywhere. I don't know what good that does anyone.
Well, it does her podcast well, because now we're talking about the morning after with Kelly Stafford.
Should we become a big morning after listening group chat where we text about each episode as it comes out?
Can we do like post-pod listening, like lives on the Bart Winkler podcast?
I love that.
All of this to say, Jordan Love has absolutely, to me, proven without a shadow of a doubt that, yeah, he's not going – his floor is higher than I think what we could have all thought when the Rodgers stuff originally – when Rodgers was in his darkness retreat.
Grant,
and still a Packer.
Is it in your apartment?
Well, first of all, Paul, finish that thought, and then we will hear what you have to say, Bart.
Bart is
Grant's got the scarf on with his mug, doing the grandma.
It's a little blanket. This is my laptop working. I don't know. You guys never get a little cold?
I'm sorry, Paul.
No, this was better. This was better content talking about Grant's scarf. When Rodgers was in his darkness retreat,
damn it. Go ahead.
He finally muted his mic during this cough attack. When Rodgers was in his darkness retreat, I don't think we could have said, like, without a doubt, that Jordan Love couldn't possibly have been bad. That was an option at the time.
Yes,
he's showing other. I mean, he's raised again, like what he has been allowed to do, getting all the snaps in practice, right? Not being the guy who gets a small percentage of them with Rodgers. That's the other benefit that shouldn't be overlooked. He's the guy. Everyone has rallied around him, but his play has backed that up. Like, 6 months ago, let's use that same example. Where would average casual like NFL fan have ranked Jordan Love and Trey Lance? One is now the undisputed starter for the Packers, who's shown that why he should be the starter for the Packers. The other just was the third, went from being the third overall pick to being the third stringer and getting traded for a 4th round pick after being third overall. So, yeah, it's been
Trey Lance thing's driving me crazy.
It's been a great 6 months for Jordan Love. A great 6 months.
100%. I agree, Paul.
Trey Lance gets traded. And where's the media's focus? Who did wrong here? The Cowboys. Because what if Dak struggles that people are going to be asking for Trey Lance? Again, the Niners, the Celtics of the NFL, get a pass where everyone loves them. They haven't won shit. They're always competitive. Niners and Celtics invented bites of the apple. Where's their championships?
The Celtics
in the last 30 years.
Bites of the apple team. That's a good take, actually. Celtics are a very good bites of the apple team.
Yeah. Also in the NFC West, what are the Cardinals doing? Why did they give that money? Why did they give that money to Kyler Murray?
Well, that was a mistake.
But they knew it was a mistake, and they still did it.
They did. Yep, they wanted to win.
The Angels knew it was a mistake not to trade Shohei. They still didn't do it. These teams the Packers knew they shouldn't have given Rodgers a new salary when he had 2.5 years left.
Yep.
These teams, why do so often teams make mistakes that they know are mistakes, but they feel they have nothing else. Like they have no, like you could say, and I still like Daniel Jones, but you could say the Giants knew they shouldn't have done that.
Mm-hmm.
But these teams make mistakes that they know are mistakes because the fear of the unknown, or like the Cardinals are going to go from Josh Rosen 1 year to Kyler Murray suck to draft another quarterback.
Yeah.
They're a disaster.
The answer of what they're doing, Bart, is they're tanking.
They're tanking.
But they suck.
They're going to get Caleb Williams or Drake May, and they're going to start over.
What are they going to do with Kyler Murray? They owe him a shitload of money.
It's a tomorrow problem. I
suppose. You eat it.
I saw when they got rid of Colt McCoy, and everyone was like, whoa, the Cardinals are really tanking. And I saw our friend Eric Eager tweet, hey guys, starting Colt McCoy would have been tanking too. He also sucks. And I'm like, okay, yeah, it's a good point. The Cardinals didn't just give Kyler Murray money. I think it was the anniversary recently, or I saw someone tweet about it the other day. And it was probably when they cut Colt McCoy. Someone reminded like, hey, on this day 2 years ago, they paid Kyler Murray a ton of money. They extended Cliff Kingsbury and they extended Steve Keim. And then within the next calendar year, they moved off of 2 officially. And it looks like they've unofficially now started to move off of Kyler. So yeah. The NFL, it stands for not for long. And that applies to contracts.
You know what else is not for long is this great deal that you can get at Omaha Steaks.
Jesus Christ.
Labor Day is right around the corner, and the experts at Omaha Steaks are inviting you to celebrate summer's last hurrah with 50% off their store-wide sale. Go to omahasteaks.com, enter Bart in the search bar, get all the Labor Day exclusive packages. Plus, when you type in Bart in the search bar, you'll get your package at 50% off, and then 8 free mouth-watering burgers and 8 free gourmet jumbo franks. Omaha Steaks isn't just steak, it's the best steak of your life. See site for details.
Oh, come on. You got to fade that. You're a better producer than
I was going to say, I was waiting for you to fade it.
I can't.
So,
There's no fade button. I have to go from 50 to 40 to 30 to 20.
Well, then that's what you do.
I was going to say, then it sounds like that's what you
Oh, wait, maybe I can fade.
Because that sounded like shit. That's a little bit, yeah. It's a little
fast.
I pressed the button that says fade.
Well, it was a good read until that.
What else you got for us?
All right. My non-Jordan Love Packers question. So I'm going to read to you Andy Herman's best grades for the Packers preseason in order from best ranked from his film study. By the way, he watches all of these plays, for each player. I love football, man, but
Herman's grade system is wild. It's very meticulous.
I love meticulous. If you're going to do,
and then the results are you see the results, and you're like, oh yeah. But I don't know. Yeah. But he backs, and this is a pro. I'm not saying anything bad about Andy, but he makes sure he's got because I could just say, yeah, I think Kraft kind of had a shitty preseason, and he'll say yes because on this play he lost -1, and on this play So Herman takes a bazooka to the eye test and says, here's what we got, boys. Pack-A-Day Podcast, a fellow Blue Wire podcast, which you can now crowdfund our network.
I invested big time. I now own 33% of Blue Wire. I put my entire net worth into the company, so I'm looking to eat up shares. Been watching
how much was the net worth, Grant?
Let's not talk about money. Nothing will sour a good friendship like a money conversation.
So here are those grades from Andy. And by the way, Bart, I was going to say, Andy is definitely if the teacher said, show your work, he would say, yes, teacher. Here's my here's showing the work.
How high? Top
graded Packer, Rasheed Walker on the offensive line. Number 2, Jordan Love, thumbs up. Enagbare, 3rd. Zach Tom, 4th. Emmanuel Wilson, 5th. John Runyon Jr., Sean Ryan, Sean Clifford, TJ Slayton, Brenton Cox. Those are the top 10. Not listed there, Malik Heath, who, if Romeo Doubs is not available week 1, Malik Heath, undrafted rookie, starting wide receiver, is very much in play. It would be Watson, Reed, and Heath.
Toure.
I don't think so. You don't think Heath has passed him?
He probably has. I'm holding out hope.
Yeah.
I'm shaking in my boots here that these guys are still going to be on the team by the time.
I was going to say, watch Samari Toure not be on the team by the time.
Well, yeah.
Tim will cut it out and just flag it for Tim. He'll come
flag
back.
it for Tim. He'll do it.
And we'll have traded for DJ Chark by then or some shit.
So I could go several directions here. Was what I want to ask you is, the Packers player outside of Jordan Love who helped their stock the most, who helped themselves the most.
Oh, I'm going to say to whatever. It's Anders Carlson, my friend.
So you're going to say, okay, so why don't I just keep it open-ended? I know that's not how the game is played, but so the Packers player who helped himself, I'll throw out a name, and I'll say is Zach Tom. So, but it could be,
When he made that field goal, I was in the atrium listening to the radio. Because not only do they pump my God. Which in the atrium, I guess, is fine.
Go ahead.
It's just like, how do you be a franchise for 100 years and try to pump the radio broadcast down? People, we get it. Get it.
I don't know that one has to do with the other, but
now in the atrium, I did enjoy. Oh, here's the real scam of the fucking Packers. You go down the escalator and it's like, throw away all your food and water. And then you get down and you're in the Packer Pro Shop. What's the first thing there? A cooler of water. You can't let me fucking drink it on the escalator.
It's because you drunks are going to spill all over the merchandise.
Yeah.
It is tight quarters down there.
Okay, so 57-yard field goal. They were like laughing. Like, we can't believe this is it was the most improbable shit they ever saw. So does that mean it was a long field goal, or they think this guy's dog shit? I thought if I was Anders Carlson and I listened back to that, I would be offended, is what I'm saying.
Wow.
You mean the radio broadcasters were laughing?
Yeah.
Wayne and Larry?
Not laughing like it was funny, but laughing oh my God, we built this rocket in our backyard out of sticks and stones and a fucking gas can, and it somehow landed on the moon. I can't believe this occurred. Most improbable of dreams has been realized. The 57-yard kick.
Kicked it all the way to Sheboygan, or whatever they probably said.
Anyway, but I don't know. I don't know. Carlson, they get rid of the punter, or it's one of these years where I just don't. If Carlson misses a kick and we lose week 5 to go to 2-3, it's not like that is what cost us the 1 seed. It's not.
Well, it's intentional. There's a reason between.
I have a long-term view of this team, and by long-term I mean they better fucking be good next year. So this year I don't expect to win a Super Bowl. I'd love to win the division. I'd love to beat Chicago twice. But I don't know. I think there's going to be some games where we're escalate a problem.
I think Anders Carlson definitely won the week, because in the same week that Mason Crosby's posting his videos of him kicking field goals, which, by the way, Grant, confirms what you said on this podcast about the guy who wouldn't let you scratch your balls in between the remember when you had a guy who wouldn't go on the Thrill Michael show because he was talking. I don't want to go on the air, but I have some information that Crosby's been kicking field goals at this high school, and you're like, can you just go on the air and let me scratch my nuts?
That's my relaxed time, is those 3 and 5 minute breaks.
But it was good information, because then all of a sudden these Crosby videos start coming out, and then did you guys? We've talked about this. Have you watched Workaholics?
A little, yeah, enough
Bart,
to get your reference.
Yes.
Zeta Jones.
How does that?
She lives beneath lasers.
Oh, Catherine Zeta-Jones.
I see going to reference.
Well, Anders is one of the main characters, and when he gets into a zone, he's the Durs. So I would love.
Oh yeah,
I would love if we could maybe, I don't know if it's because when the Durs comes out, it's because he's totally drunk off his ass and acting a fool. So I don't know if that makes sense, but I was maybe if the Durs is when he hit a 50+ yard field goal with the Durs. I think we should workshop when he's the Durs. Which also made it easy. It also makes it easy for me to call him Anders because of how many times throughout Workaholics Anders explains why you pronounce his name the way you do. Is Anders Carlson, Bart, your real answer of the player this preseason who helped himself the most?
Yeah.
Okay. I mean, because he was largely bad for at least training camp practices.
I mean, like he was going to get the job regardless. So maybe
he was.
Yeah. Maybe just helped himself in terms of
public perception.
Yeah.
Grant, the Packers player who helped himself the most during preseason was fill in the blank. Or I don't know.
I don't know. That's a tough question because like there are a lot of players that looked good. Like Jaden Reed looked very good, but we also kind of expected him to look pretty okay.
Sure.
So like how good he looked and how much he helped himself relative to our expectation. Like that's not, I don't think he covered a lot of ground.
Yeah.
I do find it really interesting. And I know it's kind of a boring issue. I find it interesting that Caleb Jones kind of has surpassed Josh Nijman. And I know
did you say Caleb Jones?
Caleb Jones. And I know we're kind of recording this at an awkward time. Like we don't really know how the roster is going to shake out. I feel like Nijman and Jones will both be on it, but Caleb Jones getting to the point where he's probably next in line if a tackle spot opens up, either through injury or through someone departing in free agency or a trade.
Wait, are you including Rasheed Walker in that?
Well, who did I say? Did I not say? That's who I meant. Rasheed Walker. Did I say somebody else?
Were you talking about Caleb Jones?
Who's the mountain of a man? It's Rasheed Walker, right?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Thank you for correcting me.
Caleb Jones is big too.
Well, they're all big. Their offense, yeah, but yeah, him surpassing Nijman as the next tackle. That's interesting, and it's very
Jones is 6'9".
Yeah,
holy cow.
He's the big one. It's very Brewers-ish in the way the Brewers kind of handle their bullpen. Like there's always that next guy looming, and it's been that way for years and years. Like Burns kind of showed up in 2018, and now Uribe is kind of hanging around as the next guy, but they're using him in the meantime. Having a 6'9" guy who's actually playing well at tackle and is surpassing Nijman, who started playoff games at tackle for the Packers, that's not a small deal. So I'll say him because I think the Packers have found good offensive linemen the last couple of years. Since Elton Jenkins, I don't know that they've found a great one. And maybe a 6'9" tackle. Maybe they'd found something there. So I'll say that guy.
I'm tempted to say the answer as being Malik Heath, just because undrafted to potentially starting week 1. I don't think between now and this being published, he's going to get cut.
I don't think.
Think.
I really would be surprised if that were to happen, but that could be an answer. Enigbare, like, let's not forget what week 2 of the preseason was for him, where he was just, incredible. But he was already going to make the team. He was not going to. I mean, who plays more snaps in this season, like Van Ness or Enigbare? Like, that's probably is that a ridiculous question? Like, who's better right now?
That is a good question.
Enigbare is better right now, isn't he?
The thing with Van Ness is, like, I think he needs to play to get better.
That's a good thing about, like, this season, whereas, like,
totally.
if Van Ness is the new Rashawn Gary was on a team that had expectations.
If Van Ness is the next Rashawn Gary, remind me to put a note in my calendar for 5 years from now when he's finally going to be elite.
Not to be rude, but fuck off, you fucking bitch.
What?
What's wrong with Rashawn Gary?
He's always, bro, Grant. He's always coming at this with an anti-Rashawn Gary lens.
Yeah.
I don't know. To me, when you take a project in the top 15, that means I need 2 years, not I need 5. Like I don't know.
You didn't need 5.
He said didn't need 5 for the hype to get massive.
Oh my!
He hurt his knee last year, which it's not his fault. So I will back off on that.
Any other Packers thoughts?
Oh, just mention really briefly, Jordan Love in his presser mentioned twice in one answer that checkdowns can turn into big plays.
Mm-hmm.
And I just locked onto that when I heard it. I talked about that on my Monday show for 10 or 12 minutes. And Tony in Texas called in made some awesome points about it. Like that's what we want a quarterback to do. Like take the easy plays, let Christian Watson and his crazy size and speed go make a play for you, right? Not every play has to reinvent the wheel and it has to be this crazy highlight. I'm on this crusade to make game managers cool again. I don't like game managers being used as a dirty word. Tom Brady, very game manager, right? Matt Ryan, game manager in 16, won an MVP.
Patrick Mahomes.
Can be. And let me ask you this. Bills fans would probably love for Josh Allen to have a little bit more game manager in him at times. Like they're obvious, they're checks and balances, but you know, when Colin Cowherd came out and said Jordan Love's a game manager after week 1, I'm like, okay, that's fine. You know, you can be a game manager. Now you need to mix in those special throws every once in a while, I think, for a team to win a title. Like look at Jimmy G in 2019. He was a game manager, but when the time came in the Super Bowl for him to make one great throw over the top to Emmanuel Sanders, he whiffed it by 10 yards. And that's, you know, that play kind of accentuates that little extra that's needed from a game manager. But I thought that quote from Jordan Love was great, saying touchdowns or checkdowns can turn into big plays. I like that. I like that attitude a lot.
Yeah,
that's it.
Our top 5 favorite Garys. Number 5 is Rashawn Gary. Number 4 is longtime MLB catcher Gary Carter. Number 3 is Gary Cole.
Yes, I was hoping you'd put him in there.
Number 2 is Gary Delabate. And number 1 is my dad, whose name is Greg, but my friend Colin for a while thought his name was Gary. And now we always call my dad Gary. Or top 5 favorite Gary.
Gary Cole is awesome. Nice.
You know who had a bad preseason was Matt LaFleur.
How so?
Matt, could you maybe like coach your fucking team instead of worrying about the goddamn crowd, you stupid fucking millennial?
Have you talked about this yet?
Almost probably by the time this airs, way too much. I'm very upset. I'm very upset about the way the preseason crowd was treated. It was a Saturday at noon. It is a preseason game. I'm trying to teach my kid he goes, what are those big yellow things? I'm trying to teach him what the goalpost is. Not like how to fan in the right times. We have a problem in this state. The crowd is bad. We suck. This is a preseason game. I don't need Bill Jarts telling me what to fucking do. and I'm a Jarts head, okay?
So, can I ask you something about Matt LaFleur? Do you get pissy when he does the arm signal to get the crowd fired up? Do you think that's a bad look, or is that mostly fine for you?
I don't think he's a real man enough to be my head coach.
You're kidding, right?
What
I might not be.
But then I hear coaches that I think are playing up the manly, like they're trying too hard to be leader of men.
Oh, those guys are even worse.
Well, that's what I'm saying. Like, I would rather have a coach. I think Matt LaFleur he's a tactician, and he's not this machismo guy. Although we're not in the locker. Let's be careful with what we're assuming.
Yeah, let's be careful. Yeah.
We're not in the locker room. We don't, it's
look,
easy.
We are spoiled. We are spoiled in the state to have really the most ultimate cool dude to ever exist manage our baseball team. And so we look at all other coaches in a frame of him.
Yeah.
I mean, they can't all be Craig Counsell.
Yeah.
You think Craig Counsell gives a shit about the wave? He just wants to win baseball games.
Right, he does. Damn right he does. That's unfair to Matt LaFleur. Not everyone can be Craig Counsell. That's true.
I fucked up.
As we speak, there have been 7 cuts on the Green Bay Packers roster.
Any surprise cuts? I love a good surprise cut.
Yeah, we're here with Joe Beatwriter. What maybe is your biggest surprise cut that you might see coming up here this weekend?
Yeah, I think Jimmy Phillips, linebacker. He's an undrafted free agent, had a really good camp. I'd guess he'll get a shot somewhere.
Maybe stick onto the practice squad. Who knows? I mean, you'll have to see.
That was literally, first off, that That was Bill Huber's tweet.
Is it really? Yes.
I read it word for word. I just wanted to. The Packers have cut Matt Orzich, Cole Schneider, Lou Nichols, Jason.
Wait, was then the long snapper supposed to make it?
Who? What did you say?
That's the long snapper that was supposed to make it.
So there's a little asterisk here. This is Andy Herman's doing a cut tracker, and it says, asterisk, the Packers intend to re-sign Orzich on Wednesday per Bill Huber.
Okay, nice.
I don't know why. I don't know why cut him Tuesday, sign him Wednesday. I don't know. Jason Lewan, Cody Crest, Austin Allen, Jimmy Phillips are the cuts so far.
I'm upset about Lou Nichols, kid out of Central Michigan, monster daily fantasy guy for me last year. Lou Nichols the third, that is.
Yeah. Well, maybe they didn't cut Lou Nichols the third. Maybe they just cut Lou Nichols.
I did like how I asked Ryan Wood. I said, who's the last guy they're going to pencil in there? I tried to change the question a little bit. You know, these guys get the same questions all the time.
He appreciated it. You could tell.
Well, that's always what I'm going for.
Yeah. Yep. Are we done with Packers for the moment?
Yes. I think so.
Yeah. Bart, because we're on this podcast, I'm going to ask you. Grant, I don't know if you talked about it on your show, but I'm sure there's some pretty good audience crossover between the two. How much have the two of you talked about Giannis's interview?
I dabbled in it a little bit Monday night. Grant, you probably did more. You had more time.
Well, I talked about it very briefly the day it came out, just like in passing, and then people kept talking about it, and I'm like, okay, I can talk about this more. So between 2 days, probably half hour, 40 minutes.
Well, I think, that's a pretty good amount. So I mostly ignored it because, whatever. It's end of August and Giannis did an interview and whatever.
The same interview he does every offseason. Yeah. But
I thought this from Frank Madden made a lot of sense to me. Shocking because Frank Madden usually makes a lot of sense.
Friend of show, Frank. He's been on here, right?
Frank's awesome.
Yeah.
Right. Frank quotes.
I've not had him on the pod.
What are you doing? Well, I guess maybe October. If you could do that, that would be great.
Win-loss the whole regular season schedule, Frank. Please put that in the books.
I will.
That would be there. No, there are better uses of your time with Frank than win-lossing the 82-game schedule. Frank added to the conversation and said, "I think this was a good / He was retweeting or quote tweeting what the Hoop Collective podcast with Brian Windhorst and those guys were talking about. And Frank said, I think this was a good, fair discussion of the Giannis New York Times comments. If Giannis wanted to create additional pressure / scrutiny on the franchise, his teammates and himself, well, mission accomplished. So, whereas maybe if we would have recorded this a few days ago, I would have asked something like, I mean, first of all, I think it's worth talking about, but I probably would have said something like, we didn't learn anything new in this Giannis interview, but I wasn't super sold on that topic anyway. But then I saw Frank's tweet, and this makes me want to ask, if you were Bucks management and you read this, you would feel additional pressure / scrutiny, to use Frank's words, after reading Giannis's comments. This would have upped the ante. This would have increased your, the pressure that you would be feeling as a franchise to get this right. Or
I think the whole.
Let me try one more time. So Giannis did in fact create additional pressure or scrutiny on the franchise. He did that. That happened as a result
on his teammates.
On him, I'm gonna use Frank's words because I like the way he phrased it. It created additional pressure / scrutiny on the franchise, himself, and his teammates. All of the above.
Himself, yes, probably unintended. His teammates, definitely. The franchise, no. John Horst wakes up every day. All he is trying to do is keep Giannis here.
Yeah,
that's all he's ever tried to do. And they've done a good job at it. And Giannis just all he's saying is, I just want to keep winning, and if we stop winning, the main thing for me in this is because people are freaking out, and I'm hearing from other people hey, Bucks fans got to be. If the Bucks don't win here in the next year or two, and then Giannis is I really want to win, and I for whatever reason, there's a huge Greek population here, or I've always wanted to try this, or I want a new challenge. Like, who am I to? You gave me 11 years and a championship. You extended multiple times. You've reaffirmed your love of Bucks fans multiple times. You had very easy off ramps to take, and you never took them. And then if at the end of a long journey, you decide, look, I'm only living once. I only have one career. I want to go try something different. I don't see a scenario where, and it's totally different, you know, the way I felt about quarterbacks and whatever. If Giannis says, I love Milwaukee or whatever, this was a great run, and I'd like to try something different. What am I gonna fucking hate him? Am I gonna be mad at him? I can't. I'm not worried about I give no thought to Giannis. Is he gonna leave? Because I don't care. I mean, I do care, but also I don't. I'm satisfied. I'm already satisfied. Everything else is great. And then, you know, it's the Packer thing. It's like, well, you only got one with Rodgers. You only got one with Favre. I got one with. I mean, we shouldn't have even had this guy. We cheated off the Atlanta Hawks homework to draft this fucking guy.
That's true.
It's not a total lie.
He should not be here. We have him, and we got a championship, and we got the most fun summer I've had in Milwaukee. Why? If he wants to go, like, I want to go play over here. Okay. I don't know. With him, I don't see myself being mad unless he goes to like Boston or somewhere stupid.
Yeah. Which I don't think he would. I mean, like,
he can.
Yeah. You and Alexander Hamilton do not have much in common then, because Hamilton, he will never be satisfied.
You just I think Curb ruined Hamilton for me, and Lin-Manuel Miranda.
They made him a heel.
They made him a heel. They absolutely did. The Shucker set him up. What an incredible storyline.
The Shucker, that's right.
I shuck in lots of circles. Who knows who he shucks for?
So Grant, let me just rephrase it then for you.
Professional reset, yeah.
Did I not say Ellerson is one of my favorite Garys?
You didn't.
No,
you didn't say my dad either, who's a Gary.
I meant to say Ellerson. Fuck.
My roommates called me Gary for a whole year after college. I lived with two friends that I went by Gary. That's what they called me.
Would 2 years of Grant Gary Bills make your list, Bart? Like for those 2 years when Grant was Gary Bills?
I never knew him as Gary. Holy shit.
I just love that you included Gary Cole. I'm on such a Gary between Veep, and then he's got an awesome storyline in Suits as a district attorney.
Suits. Grant, professional reset.
You know your show is in season 7 when Gary Cole shows up.
Hey, it was earlier. It was like season 2, and he had great backstory, a great history. He's in flashback episodes too, and his role in Veep. Oh, I just keep watching.
You guys got to watch the Brady Bunch movie. That's where I first saw Gary Cole.
Paul, reset. I'm sorry, we're hampering you. I don't.
Giannis created additional pressure / scrutiny on the franchise, his teammates, and himself. Or
So I need to answer these individually. Himself, because when Giannis came out and said this, I know a lot of people's response was, dude, you just got big dick by Jimmy Butler in the 8-seeded Heat. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
His teammates, I think, yes. Because of what happened 2 years ago against Boston, when I think like Giannis had one of his best playoff series I've seen, and he ran out of gas at the end, but Chris Middleton was hurt. And I think there is a little angst, maybe, I don't know. I could see where there might be a little angst about how Chris Middleton kind of slow played his way back into this last season, wasn't really in shape, took a while to get going, and Drew was poor in the postseason. So I do, yeah, it would be totally fair for Giannis to look around a little bit and be like, guys, I need more. So I think pressure on his teammates, pressure on Giannis, yes, in different ways. The franchise, I'm not so sure, because I keep bringing this up on my show, and I compare the Bucks to the Packers for those who aren't as into the NBA or as into the Bucks. This is not a Ted Thompson situation where you can look back over the last 10 years and think about these moves that could have happened that didn't. Like, well, what would have happened those couple of years if Ted Thompson had given up a mid-round pick for Marshawn Lynch? What would have happened had they got Randy Moss for a song? What would have happened if they drafted D. Higgins? There isn't really a situation or a transaction I can look to at John Horst and say you could have done more, or you should have done more. You should have done this. Malcolm Brogdon?
No, fans will say PJ Tucker.
Joel Embiid over Jabari Parker.
Okay, PJ Tucker, sure. I think even the smartest Bucks fans and Bucks people, when they let PJ Tucker go, and PJ Tucker got the money and the deal that he got at the age that he is, I was okay with it. Like, I'll sleep.
People forget that Kevin Durant cooked PJ Tucker.
Yeah, and maybe against the Heat last year, talking to some of my closer Bucks friends and some people who come on my show, like, maybe this team is a little more docile. Like, there's not a lot of dogs on this team, like Chris Middleton and Drew, and yeah, they're pretty soft spoken. So maybe PJ Tucker, maybe, sure, but they won a title and they started spending more money. Like, it would have been easy for small town Milwaukee. I know the owners aren't small town, but the owners very easily, I think, could have, after that title, said, all right, we're going to pull back. We're not going to pay the luxury tax. Look at what the Cubs did. The Cubs got their historical ring in 2016 and then immediately started planning to shed that money and to get cheaper. Bucks ownership has done the opposite. So I think if we get to a point where Giannis is leaving, I don't think it's going to be because the Bucks cheaped out on this or that. It's going to be because they run out of cards to play. And if Giannis leaves because the Bucks are out of picks or they're out of money and their team got old and they don't really have a great way to rebuild it quickly around Giannis, okay, tip your cap. You wish him luck elsewhere, and I think Giannis would leave Milwaukee without any hard feelings towards the team.
Well, okay, but here's my counter to all that. Yeah, you guys both agreed more scrutiny on himself, more scrutiny on his teammates, and pretty much both landed in for scrutiny and pressure on the franchise. If the Bucks win a second title, be it this year or next season, I think I will then join you in the, like, I don't care as much if he leaves.
Okay.
But I think if the last 4 or 5 years of Giannis's Bucks career are seasons that end in not making the finals, that is a failure of management, John Horst, etc. I give Horst.
I don't know, injuries last 2 years.
But you know where injuries happen? When you're older. And instead of pivoting this offseason, like we talked about this months ago about, Drew Holiday, Jalen Green trades, and about, like, I just like the point being, you could have gotten younger. Would that have been the right move? I don't know. But injuries are a part of being an older team. Also, part of being an older team is being an expensive team. So, like, if Holiday's making $38-ish million per year, and you would have, before the Rockets, I'm just being hypothetical here, before the Rockets had given Fred VanVleet $40 million a year, you would have said, hey, take on Drew's money and we'll take Jalen Green back. Jalen Green makes like a third of what the point being, there were moves that John Horst could have done and still could do. Like, it's not like, it's August. You could do things at the deadline this year. There are ways to get younger and to tinker with the roster as needed. But I think if this reign ends in 2 years without another finals run, at the very least another final, so I guess I'm consistent with how I felt about Rodgers. Like, you had to at least get back to one more. You have to get back to one more Super Bowl. You have to get back to one more finals. And if you don't, more than just Rodgers, more than just Giannis failed. I would say there's also failure of general managers and presidents of team operations on, you overvalued your own guys, on your own ability to develop, on your own ability to stay healthy, on the fact that making a coaching change would have switched. Like, in fact, it's kind of similar now that I think about it out loud, is like, well, the Packers said, well, we'll end the McCarthy run. We'll bring in this young offensive minded guy. The Bucks threw all of the blame on Budenholzer, right?
Well, sometimes teams are just like, you want them to do something different. Sometimes teams are just wrong. They do the wrong thing, or what they do doesn't work out.
Look at the Warriors trying to get younger around Curry and all those guys. Look how that worked. And I think the Warriors are as smart as any team in American professional sports.
Well, and they won despite trying to do the varsity JV thing. As
well, and here we go.
Great PR staff.
Yeah.
Actually, that's proven, right? Like they win awards on their PR staff. No, I don't think Horst gets off the hook. And I mean, I say Horst, but it's meant to represent the entirety of the front office. That if the Bucks have already peaked, if the Giannis run has already peaked and it doesn't re-hit that mark again, I don't think any of us should let the front office off the hook and say like, well, they got us our one. No, like when Giannis won his one, he was 27, 26. Like that can't be your peak. When your super duper star is still that young, that can't be your mountaintop. You have to get back there. You have to at least get back there.
That to me is on the players.
That's bullshit. I don't agree with that at all. I mean, of course, it's also on the players. Of course it is. Yes, 100%. But there's something you can do about that. Like as a general manager, about ensuring, like I would say Drew Holiday was as bad of a player in this playoff run as a player of his salary slot could be.
Sure. Like
a $38 million, I think that's right, per year player cannot be that bad in the playoffs. And the Bucks said, let's run it back with him. If that loyalty and that faith pays off, credit to the front office. If that proves itself to backfire again, then you fucked up and you need to be called out for that because sorry. That would be to me a failure. That if Holiday is the same playoff player in 2024, in May of 2024, as he was in May of 2023 or April, it was only fucking April of 2023. You can see where I get passionate because the F-bombs come out. And this is one of my passionate areas. Then you did that wrong. You misplayed your hand as a front office. So I'm going to go across the board, to pressure and scrutiny on himself, teammates, and the franchise.
Well, also one more area of scrutiny of the front office, and I think a lot of people maybe knew this, but this quote makes it abundantly clear in case there was any confusion. When Drew and Chris and Brooke are up, he's not hanging around for 2 or 3 years while the Bucks pick up the pieces and put it back together. The Bucks need to have a plan for what's next immediately after those guys are done in a Bucks jersey. And I think this was also a way of Giannis saying that. Like, just because my teammates get old and this core gets old doesn't mean we step back for 2 or 3 years or we're rebuilding. Like, I expect to be on a contender, and if not, I'm going to leave. Like, that's, I don't know. That was a part of the messaging as well for 2 years down the road.
Yeah. Which
also coincides with Giannis's extension a little bit. So.
Well, also, just real quick, September of 2023, if I recall correctly, Giannis can sign an extension in the month of September 2023.
Yes.
So, sounds like he's not going to.
And he probably shouldn't.
Probably shouldn't.
Doesn't really make sense for him.
Though Giannis got to pick the coach. And I remember when Grant Bills was reporting live outside of Fiserv Forum, and I was driving in the car, and Bart did his live post-Adrian Griffin hiring episode. One of the things we speculated about, or at least discussed as a possibility, was like, okay, Giannis, you get to pick the coach, but also in September, sign your extension. Don't make us sit around. You want all this power? Put your name on the piece of paper and give us another 4 or 5 years of this.
Well, and
sounds like that's not happening. And it's not cause for alarm, but like it's not cause for alarm. Like he could sign an extension. Should he? If you're his agent, you'd say, don't do that. Don't do that, Giannis. So I get it. He shouldn't do it, but he could, and he's not, which is not ideal if you're the Bucks, right?
I think most NBA players would sign it, and then if they want to trade in a year or two, they just ask. I mean,
you know what? That's a great point that I hadn't considered.
Like I was texting with our friend Justin Garcia the other day about this quote and kind of what's coming down the road. And we were talking about, well, when Chris and Drew and these guys are up, could they target any players in free agency? And Justin's like, dude, there's no free agency anymore. Free agency doesn't exist, which is something that like I've been saying on my show, and I needed to be reminded of. Just because players don't reach free agency anymore. They just take the most money they can as soon as they can take it. And if they want to change teams, you ask. And maybe that dynamic changes with what's going on with Lillard and Harden. I doubt it, but it looks like the NBA wants to curb that. I don't know how.
But I think that's part of why this 2023-24 season is so important for the Bucks, because if they can get back to a finals or win another championship, they have, I would think, more room, more leverage within the fan base, trusting them to then move Chris, Brooke, Drew, and do that reset before all those contracts are up, because Brooke has 2 years. Like, if you're going to move his $25 million per year salary for a younger piece, you can't let that expire. Because to your point, Grant, like if all this money comes off the books in the offseason of 2025 or 2026,
what do you do with it?
What do you do? Who's really available?
No stars. Superstars don't become available anymore.
That's right. And so what, you're going to throw it at $16 million a year for PJ Washington, like a player I like, but like, it's like, is that changing your universe? Rui Hachimura was a free agent this offseason. Like, it's just, you're right. So this is why I always think, like, you have to, could the Bucks have gotten younger? Why is there scrutiny on the franchise? Well, because you could have gotten younger this offseason, but instead you changed the coach and pretty much ran back the roster. They
could have got younger and markedly worse as well.
Well, I don't know about that, because younger players, again, are often healthier. It could have injected some youthful exuberance into the locker room. There would definitely be less complacency, because for 82 games, the Bucks will probably, yes, there's a new coach, there's a new system. I think that's going to add a level of non-complacency. Yeah, and just like, okay, well, we have to actually try things, because if they would have slept walk through another regular season with Budenholzer, like, what would there have been to have learned on a random Tuesday night? Nothing, right? So there's something on the line here, but I don't know.
That's correct. Those are all good points.
All right, I know we're pretty much at time here, and I have to run myself. I'm going to ask a quick Brewers one, because as we talk, I don't know quite how to phrase this because of when this may or may not publish. This, as it stands now, current 9-game winning streak. Could be 10, could be 11, or they could have lost their past 1 or 2 by the time you hear this.
You should have called your shot and said, the Brewers have won 12 in a row. And that's how you should have framed it.
I might not air this till October.
We might have to re-record some of this then. The Brewers' current winning streak, whether it be 9 or more, has changed the way you think about their postseason outlook. Mm-hmm. Or mm-mm.
It still feels like a team that's going to lose in the playoff. Like, I'm watching Mark Canha the other night, and I'm like, this is the type of guy who I fall in love with in the regular season. Then we get to the playoffs, it's like, just not quite.
There was a comment on the stream on Monday that said, this is a really good team. They're really fun. I still don't see them beating the Braves or Dodgers, and I think there is still the feeling of a ceiling.
Yeah. They could. You get in the playoffs and anything can happen, which sometimes is logical.
The scoring runs has changed things maybe a little bit. In fact,
it's because of Willie. I've been saying this on my show all week. Like, the last time the Brewers won this many games in a row was 2021, and it was right when Willie got to town. Like, he is a piece in the circuit.
Uh-oh.
No good Willie talk on my show, please.
Wow. Oh. Well, let me phrase it.
He's my Rashawn Gary.
The Brewers offense cannot be great without him being good. Like, he's the piece in the circuit where if you pull him out, it all goes dark. It doesn't work.
Right, well, he's gonna not show up when it matters. It's like always.
Showing up right now. This has been a pretty big week. It's a big season.
Everyone else is Gary. Everyone else is doing the work. He'll get his doubles when everyone else is getting doubles. But when you need him to get a double,
you're viewing it backwards. Everyone else is getting doubles because he's finally given the team some life. You're looking at it backwards.
Bart's the guy. They'll blow in the playoffs. They will. They'll blow in the playoffs.
Playoff tickets on sale, by the way, if you want to put down your 2024 deposit. Grant, I know you have to go.
I do have to go. But you guys keep it up. John Cena coming to...
No, we're going to do Jake, if you're still listening, we're going to do this in long form on the Bart Winkler podcast at some point.
This was a privilege, a treat to see you both as always.
I have to go.
Do you at any point, is that your normal hair?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. I was going to say, like, is it like we do this early in the morning? Is that bedhead? And then you like do something like if I saw you in a work setting, would it be like combed and that is your hair? Got it.
I might go like a little bit like, there we go. Like maybe like
what's your America's pregame hair?
This was the America's pregame hair with Mike Hill.
Mm.
There you go. I mean, this is probably a little bit more realistic, but like it's still,
guys.
It doesn't get combed or brushed or, styled.
Okay. I love it. You guys have a great day.
Yeah. All right. Bye, buddy. Grant, Bart, I got to go as well. So this is going to be your awkward ending to your podcast.
Yeah. All right.